Hey guys, back with another video here. Got this thing back together, which it's not like it was tore apart or anything. I was just taking it apart to clean everything up. But next thing on the agenda for this thing is I got a broken throttle cable. It's just got a factory one in it. I'd attempted to repair it years ago. It did hold. It held through a couple races, and it just it's on its last leg, so I want to fix that next, which I have one ordered. Get this thing done, get it out of the way, and figure out if I'm going to paint this car or not. But yep, it's sitting here. I took 3 leaf springs out of the back. Hopefully that will let this thing launch a little bit better than it does, which a lot of things will help that. I'm only foot braking this car, so until I get a better transmission and something with a trans brake anyway, this thing will do a little bit better. I think it was a 141, 145 60 foot, which is still pretty good for a little small block, and foot braking the car, of course. But got this guy's car back on the ground. It doesn't look like it now. We got it back up in the air, kind of there, but tore this whole ass end of the car out and turned it into a no prep. That's what his goal is anyway. So added a bunch of material there. It's all chrome moly, 1 5/8. But it's starting to take shape. It's nice to see this thing back on the ground. Everything pretty much done mocked up wise. We'll plumb bob it and get everything straight, and that way there's no issues there. We don't want any cars leaving going left or right. But on no prep surfaces, you're going to have that regardless, but we want to make sure the car's right. So we waited quite a while on some Mosier axles. Finally got those in. When we did, one was off on its length, but a lot of shit in there. Wishbone, anti-roll kit. I'm still going to run parachute cable and little dumb stuff. We got the tubs made already, and a lot of the tin work. So I'd say we're probably 90% done on the tin work. So I actually got this thing out of the trailer for the first time this year, since our last race actually. So I know you guys haven't seen this car, but we built this thing here at the shop. Bent every bar, welded every weld. It's all chrome moly, of course, all TIG welded. This has a 600 cubic inch Big Duke heads, Big Duke intake. It's a fun ride. It was set up as a super gas car, and then of course you saw my Nova there in the back, which we just went over that. But hopefully I don't have to do too much to this thing. Just got it out of the trailer. Put water back in it, put the plugs back in the block. I want to go ahead and change some exhaust gaskets or manifold gaskets there, and then the valve cover gaskets. They you have these things off, every race, or maybe sometimes people have them off multiple times in a race, and they just get wear. They just start to tear and fray a little bit. So I wanted to get that before we have any issues, and we don't want any leaks. And, these valve covers and intake I actually had hydro dipped from a local shop. It lasted, I'd say, 5 or 6 years, but again, you have stuff on and off, stuff peels, stuff don't stay new forever. Pro Systems 1300 or 1350 CFM SV1. That thing's been pretty accurate. I do like the Pro Systems line. I do like their SV1, which is supposedly their their best carburetor anyway, and they say on and off the throttle stop. We do run a throttle stop a lot of times. We actually don't run the car in super gas. We haven't done any NHRA events. This is a new car, or fairly new within the last several years. But this is my office, basically where I sit on race day. Come here, calm my thoughts, and just try to stay calm anyway. Get in there and do my thing. But I wanted to, since the car is set up for super gas 990 index in the quarter, we don't really run too much quarter mile stuff because the local tracks, they just don't allow us to. So everything's 8th mile anymore, so we're going to go ahead and change the ring and pinion. It's a 411 gear now, and we're going with a 488, so that'll help a little bit. I'm not even in my power range going through the traps. So got it, this carrier here, I went ahead and just cleaned it up. I feel like no matter what I take apart and put back together, it's usually dirty and looks like shit, so I went ahead and cleaned it up and painted it. So when you're a mechanic, sometimes you're a painter as well. You just might not be very good at it. Strange axles, strange brakes. Went ahead with a Richmond gear, 488. I'm going through the traps that say 5,500. This will give us a couple more mile an hour and let the car be in a better range to work. It's got a mess going on there. We got projects everywhere. So I did want to show you guys this car though. Hopefully we'll have this thing. I'm going to throw it back together here within the next couple days. Jegs, they just don't have anything as far as parts. It's getting pretty bad. No matter what you call for, they just don't have it, or they say it'll be a month, and then it's 5 months. You're still waiting. It's always something with them. So I might switch over to Summit. A lot of people run Summit. I've just ran Jegs for ever. 15, 20 years myself, and then my dad and my grandfather, of course, also being racers, they started with Jegs. It's just a shame with them selling and probably letting the inventory go down, that you can't hardly get anything through them. So hopefully that'll get better. If not, we'll have to think about that later. But when I get shim kit, and I want to change the bearing on the pinion, that way I'm not having to press that off and on and switch them back and forth. If I need to run a quarter mile, I can go back to that other gear and I can change it pretty quick. Of course, the ultimate way would be to get a new carrier closet here. I got all my race stuff in there, my helmet, my jeans, or my fire suit, and pants, wrist restraints. I keep everything in there, that way you cannot forget them when you get up to the staging lanes. I'm sure everybody's done that a time or two. You forget something. Get up there, forget your jacket, forget your you can't check tires because you forgot that. It's just easier to keep everything with the car. So I'm gonna wrap this one up. You guys got to see this thing now. We'll start this thing up here in probably a couple days. I'm gonna go ahead and obviously change the oil and filter. We run Valvoline VR1 2050 racing oil. It seems to like it. I mean, we've run everything, Joe Gibbs Racing, and all the XPs, XP5, XP7, they got a ton of them. But the VR1 seems to do us well. So that, and put a good Wix Racing filter on there, and we'll get a video of this thing running. And hopefully we'll get some videos of this thing going down the track too. I do run a GoPro on the car. We'll probably put a second GoPro on the car. And it'd be nice to go out and go some rounds and win some races this year. This car deserves it. It gave me fits over the last several years. I've had engine troubles, transmission problems. I just put a new transmission in it. It's got a 2-speed Cohen big dog. All the goodies, full roller bearing. It's actually a Top Sportsman transmission. It's a little overkill for this thing. This thing makes just under 1,100 horsepower. It's all motor. You know, that transmission will hold 2,500 easy. So we want to make sure that we built this thing to stay together. And we're realistically probably only 11 to 1 on this build. We've been 15 to 1. We had a 582 in it and then a 598, and we just keep going a little bit bigger each time. But alright guys, I'm wrapping this one up. I'll catch you guys on the next one.